What's up, everybody? Welcome to Do You Want More, a UFC stat show here on the Monk Maddox channel. I am your host, Monk, aka Monk Master Flex, and let's get right into it. We are breaking down the Orion Cosce versus Philip Rowe fight here. Let's go right into it. Like I said, this is going to be a welterweight fight. Cosce, 5'11", 71-inch reach. Philip Rowe, 6'3", with a 9-inch reach advantage over Cosce. Cosce is 4 years, almost to the day, younger than Philip Rowe. Cosce is undefeated professionally, 7-0. And actually, where's my notes here? 7-0, 4 knockouts, 1 submission, or 4 KO TKOs, rather, 1 submission. And he is 1-0 in the UFC. Philip Rowe is 7-3 professionally. He has 3 KO TKOs and 4 submissions. He's also been knocked out 1 time, and he's 0-1 in the UFC. So let's get into it. Usually, I do not track Dana White Contender Series fights. I only track UFC statistics. Philip Rowe has had 1 fight in the UFC. Cosce has had a Dana White Contender Series fight. I did log it this time because I have no other stats for him, so some is better than none. As soon as he fights Philip Rowe, I will be replacing those statistics with this fight. So the Contender Series fight lasted almost went to decision, 14 minutes. He's got an AWI of 11.23. That's ass whoop index. How bad do you beat people up, or how bad do you get your ass whooped? So obviously higher is better, lower is worse, and 0 is an even fight. So positive 11.23. That's good for 11th in the division. Against Philip Rowe, negative 12. That is good for almost last in the division. Power index 0, chindex 2.86. So the higher the chin index number, the more times you've been knocked down. So the higher number is worse. Also 64 out of 66. Whereas Cosce has no knockdowns and has never been knocked down. Vegas odds for some. Oh, I don't have anything on Philip Rowe for some reason. That's interesting. Um, anyways, Cosce is or this fight is a minus 185 to not go to decision. So there we go there. Um, Finish rate, Cosce did have a finish over Matt Dixon on Dana White Contender Series, and Philip Rowe's fight was a decision loss. Perhaps they were pretty empty because 1 fight each. And we'll get into the data here. Striking data. Not much to work with, although these guys do have pretty good volume numbers for only having 1 fight. So take that for what you will. Basically, I'm only looking at the accuracy and the volume numbers here. So that's what we're gonna go through. We're not going through every single number on this page. Feel free to pause it, pause the video, check out all the numbers. Check out what you want. But we're just kind of gonna go through this here. Significant striking accuracy for Cosce, 62%. So that's good for third in the division, against 48% for Rowe. Cosce lands 4.5 significant strikes per minute. Throws 7.3 significant strikes per minute. So his landing is, better than average. And Philip Rowe, 2.8 per minute landed. So that's towards the bottom of the division. A little bit less volume there. Cosce has just under 2 significant strikes per minute landed on him at 56% defense, so not terrible there. And Philip Rowe more than double that at just under 5 shots landed on him per minute at a 54% defense. Striking differentials, the other one I look at here. Cosce with a plus 2.59 significant striking differential, good for third in the welterweight division. So that's saying something. There's some absolute killers up there. I know he doesn't have a ton of volume, so take that with a grain of salt. But, for that 1 fight, 2.58 is pretty good here. And Philip Rowe, on the other hand, is the complete opposite, minus 1.87. 187 significant strikes landed per minute against him, 63rd out of 66 fighters, so towards the bottom there. Clearly Cosce has the striking advantage, at least according to the very small statistical data size that we have. Knockdown data, nothing really to speak of here, except Philip Rowe got knocked down twice in his fight against Gabe Green, so maybe a bit chinny there, maybe fluky there. I don't know. I haven't done any of my tape yet, so we have to take a look at that. Takedown data. It looks like it's going Philip Rowe, but it's pretty even, actually. 1 for 1 for Cosce, 100% accuracy, and he stuffed 7 of 10 takedowns, so 70% defense there. That's the number you like to see. Minimum is 70%. 2 for 6 for Philip Rowe, 33% takedown accuracy, and he got taken down twice against Gabe Green, so he was on his back quite a few times in that fight, looks like there. So can't really take much out of that. I do like this here stat, takedown shooting rate. That's the number of takedowns you've attempted per significant strikes attempted. I believe it's significant strikes. It could be total strikes. I'd have to look for sure, but still 7%. That's pretty high. Philip Rowe looking to take down Gabe Green in that fight. That's good for 11th in the division. Where on the other hand, Cosce, towards the lower end, doesn't really shoot for takedowns in that first fight there. Whereas takedown shooting rate, our opponent takedown shooting rate, 15. Wow, I haven't seen one that high in a while. 15%. And that was, I believe, Matt Dixon. So winning 10 times for a takedown there. Get up time, or sorry, I skipped a little bit. Control time here. We'll take a look at 30% control time for Cosce, and he's been controlled 30% of the fight. So not really, he has some skill holding people down, and he also gets held down. So get up time is 25.9 seconds. That's very, very pretty good in the welterweight division. Hold down time first in the division. So he did hold Matt Dixon down quite a while there, and that is per second. And we kind of have the opposite numbers here for Philip Rowe, who also has very good control time, though 40%, but also got controlled 20% of that fight. So kind of wild numbers there in the control time, but that's again because we only have one fight to go off of. Submission data, not much to speak of. Rowe did have a submission thrown on him that he defended successfully. Neither one has thrown a submission, and Philip Rowe also has 2 reversals, so that is something to think about there. He's moving around on the ground, active on the ground. Speaking of, I've skipped over control time activity rate, where, of course, now that I say that, I look and Philip Rowe has the worst control time activity rate in the welterweight division. That's basically a stat that says, what do you do when you're in control on the ground or against the cage? Are you active? Are you trying to go for takedowns? Are you trying to land clinch strikes? Are you trying to land ground strikes? Are you trying to pull off submissions? Or are you just kind of laying there catching your breath? So the lower the number is the less activity, the higher the number, obviously more activity. So complete opposites there. And then our advanced striking data to kind of finish out the striking here. I kind of just look for, this is a lot of numbers. The middle column, accuracy, defense, I kind of just look at that, and then the volume numbers on the right side. See if anything stands out at me. Head striking accuracy, 3rd in the division, so not terrible there. Lots of volume out of Cosce here, and the complete opposite for Philip Rowe. So towards the bottom of the division in volume, a lot of the volume categories and a lot of the defensive volume categories specifically. Accuracy, such a low sample size, you can't really take much out of that. And then advanced significant striking percentages here. Head strikes, 80% of the strikes landed from Cosce have been head strikes. This is kind of how we're reading this. And the amount of strikes thrown, landed against, etc. So, and then a graphical analysis of that. What jumps out at me, Philip Rowe, significant strikes landed, that should be, oh no, significant strikes landed. 95% of Philip Rowe's strikes have come from distance, so did not really get in on his opponent in the last fight. And then we'll finish it off with the last 5 history, which is the same exact stats that we just looked at, because neither of these guys have 5 fights yet. So we can skip all that and finish it up with the strength of schedule here. This is the one stat outside of the UFC that I do track. I go back and figure the strength of schedule for each fighter's last 5 opponents, and then their last 5 opponents. So we get our opponent win percentage, strength of schedule, strength of victory, and strength of defeat. Not looking good for Cosce here. He's fought some absolute cans. In fact, his last 5 opponents' pro record, his opponent's winning percentage rather, 38.82%. That's one of the lowest I've ever seen. His opponent's records, as you can see over his last 5, 33 and 52. So very, very poor. Strength of schedule, very, very poor. Sub 500 for that as well. Strength of victory, 0.39. That is ridiculously low. The guys that means the guys he's beat have awful records, and he has not lost ever or in his last 5 fights. Philip Rowe, I mean, these numbers are terrible as well. 22 and 21, his opponents barely have a winning record. His strength of schedule is barely over 500. His strength of victory is 40. That is garbage, but all three of those numbers better than Orion Cosce. Strength of defeat is the only number that's not terrible. The higher to one means you've only lost to people that have perfect records. So, you know, anything over 75 is pretty decent. He's at about a 77 there in his loss. So, and then I have their one fight in the UFC. But yeah, both of these guys have fought, you know, opponents that were not of good caliber. And we'll finish this comparison off here with the graphical analysis. Just kind of break this down for a couple of the different categories. Our blue line, our solid blue line is our fighter. Solid orange line is their opponent. The dashed orange line is a trend line. Same with the dashed blue line, trend line. It's just I'm not saying if they're improving or getting worse, but it's just telling you in what direction over the past 5 fights has our fighter improved on, or in which way they're trending. Are they throwing more strikes per fight? Are they throwing less strikes per fight? Etc. Solid green line here is our fighter's average for significant strikes landed per minute. And then the solid orange or yellow line, I guess yellow, since we do have orange. So the solid yellow line here is our opponent's average strikes, or his opponent's average over the past 5 fights. So that's kind of what we're measuring. You want the blue line over the orange line. You want your blue line, dash blue line, to be going up, and you want your green line over the yellow line. If all those things happen, you're doing pretty well. So significant strikes, pretty good for Cosce here. Takedowns, not as good. Opponents get the better of him there. Control time is almost identical. And then Philip Rowe, same thing. He has much better control time, but his takedowns and his striking is a bit under his last opponent. So that's kind of how we're breaking down this fight. I'm not giving out picks or predictions. I'm just giving out raw statistics for you betting guys here and DraftKings guys. So take a look at that. Do with it what you will. Stats are not the end all be all. Please remember to do your tape. That is the most important part. This is what I consider a very good companion for watching tape. So before you put any money down or play money or Monopoly money or any kind of anything down, make sure you watch your tape. That's the most important part. So watch your tape. Come check out these statistics. And thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next fight.